You already know the joke, the ugly one, the god who limps. While the rest of Olympus is tall and golden and beautiful, there is one who is soot-stained and bent and lame in both feet, sweating over a fire, and the beautiful gods laugh at him. He is the odd one out, the misfit at the feast, the one they married off to the goddess of beauty herself as a kind of cruel punchline, the mismatch everyone was supposed to find funny. Hephaestus, the lame blacksmith, the god you file, if you file him at all, as the ugly one, the cuckold, the joke among the shining gods. But open the actual Iliad, the oldest poem he walks through, and look at what is actually on that mountain, and the story runs its engine in the exact opposite direction, and it turns on a single fact the punchline version very quietly forgets. Every throne the gods sit on, the bronze halls they live in, Zeus's own scepter, the fittings of the aegis, the shield of terror, the winged helm, the chariot of the sun, the god-forged armor that turns the greatest war in myth, and the first woman ever made. All of it, every last shining thing the beautiful gods wear and wield and sit upon, came off the anvil of the one they laugh at. Olympus laughs at the only one who can make anything. So before you file him away as the ugly joke at the back of the hall, I want you to sit with the shape of what actually happens to this god, because the shape is everything. His own family threw him off the mountain. For the crime of being born broken, or for taking the wrong side in a quarrel, the sources disagree, but either way he is hurled from heaven and falls a whole day and lands crippled. And that same discarded, broken god turns around and builds the entire world the ones who threw him away get to live in. He makes their beauty. He makes their power. And when he takes his revenge, he does not throw a thunderbolt because he cannot. He does something cleverer. He outthinks them. The god they threw off the mountain for his broken body is the maker without whom Olympus has nothing, and the one who wins by his mind what he could never win by his fists. I'm the myth keeper, and I have stood in the heat of his forge in the old stories. Watched the hammer come down, watched a limping, sweating god shape bronze into things no other god on that mountain could dream of making, and watched the beautiful ones take what he made and laugh at the hands that made it. And I can tell you the joke you were sold is a label slapped over the single most important craftsman in all of myth. The tellers we lean on here are a few, and they do not all tell it the same way. Homer gives us the oldest and fullest picture in the Iliad. In the very first book there is the lame god, the limping cupbearer the gods laugh at, and the story of how he was flung from heaven. In the 18th book there is the greatest thing he ever forged, spelled out line by shining line. Hesiod in his Theogony gives us his strange birth, a mother who bears him alone. They diverge, above all on who threw him from the mountain and why, and I am going to flag it every time they part ways, because the myth-keeper doesn't lie to you. But underneath the soot and the limp sits the same stubborn shape. This was never simply the story of the ugly god they laughed at. It is the story of the one who made everything they had. So let's go back to who he actually is, which does not start with the soot or the limp, but with the strangest birth on the whole mountain. You know how Athena is born. Zeus swallows her mother, and then Athena springs full-grown and armored out of Zeus's own head, a goddess born from the king of the gods with no mother at all. It is one of the famous images in all of Greek myth. And in Hesiod's Theogony, Hera, the queen of the gods, Zeus's wife, looks at that, at her husband producing a perfect goddess out of his skull without her, and she answers it. She brings forth a child entirely on her own, no father, no Zeus. Hephaestus is born from Hera alone, her answer to Athena, a child made to match her husband's motherless daughter. That is who he is at the root, not an afterthought, not a nobody. A god born from the Queen of Heaven by her own will, meant to be her matching wonder, and then he is thrown away. Here the sources part, and I promised you I would tell you when they do. In one strand, Hesiod's, the child Hera bore alone is born lame, born deformed, and his own mother is ashamed of him. This perfect answer to Athena has come out broken, and so she does the thing that is hard even to say. She takes the newborn and she hurls him off the side of Olympus herself to be rid of the shame of him. His own mother throws him from heaven for the crime of being born wrong. In the other strand, Homer's, in the first book of the Iliad, it is not Hera but Zeus who throws him, and not at his birth but later in a quarrel. Hera and Zeus are fighting, and Hephaestus steps in to take his mother's side, to shield her, and Zeus, in a fury, seizes him by the foot and flings him clean off the threshold of heaven. Two different throwers, two different reasons. A mother ashamed of a broken body, or a father enraged at a loyal son. Where I lean, and this is a reading best guess, is that the tradition kept both because both are true to him. He is the god who gets thrown away, and it barely matters by which hand. Either way he falls, and Homer makes the fall enormous. A whole day he tumbles down through the air, from dawn to dusk, and lands at last at sunset in the sea or on the island of Lemnos half dead. And here is the part that matters most and gets told least. He is not left to die. Two sea goddesses take him in. Thetis, who will one day be a hero's mother, and Eurynome, a daughter of ocean, catch the broken god and hide him and raise him in a cave under the sea. And in that cave, out of sight of the mountain that threw him away, cut off from all the beauty and the light, he first learns to make. For 9 years, Homer says, he worked there, forging brooches and bracelets and cups for the sea nymphs who saved him. The god they discarded learned his whole art in the place they discarded him to. The making came out of the falling. Now watch what that broken, cast-off, self-taught god becomes, because he does not stay in the cave. He comes back up to the mountain that threw him down and he builds it. Understand this plainly, because it is the whole hinge of who he is. Everything of power on Olympus is his work. The gods do not live in halls that grew there. He built them, the bronze houses of every god, room by room. The thrones they sit on, all of them are his. Zeus's scepter, the symbol of his rule over gods and men, came off Hephaestus's anvil. The fittings of the aegis, the terrible shield that scatters armies, the winged helm and the sandals. The chariot the sun god drives across the sky. When a god needs a thing of power, any god, the king of them included, there is exactly one forge it can come from, and one pair of hands, and they are the limping hands they all laugh at. He forges the beauty every one of them merely wears. And his masterpiece, the one Homer stops the entire war to describe, is the shield. When the greatest warrior of the age, Achilles, needs new armor, it is Hephaestus who makes it, and in the 18th book of the Iliad the poem simply halts, and for hundreds of lines it does nothing but describe the shield he forges. On it he hammers the whole world, the earth, the sky, the sea, the sun and moon and stars. 2 cities, one at peace with weddings and law courts, one at war. Fields being plowed, a harvest, a vineyard dancing, a wedding song. The lame god who was thrown off the world forges the entire world onto a single circle of bronze. That is not the work of a punchline. That is the work of the one maker the beautiful gods cannot do without. And I owe you an honest one here, because it is his hands too, and it is darker. When Zeus wants to punish mankind, when he wants to answer Prometheus's gift of fire with a curse dressed as a gift, it is Hephaestus he sends for. On Zeus's order, Hephaestus takes clay and water and shapes the first woman, Pandora, molds her out of earth with his own hands, and the other gods dress her, and she is sent down to mankind with her jar of sorrows. That is his making too. The same hands that forged the shield shaped Pandora on a king's command. I am not going to pretend the maker only ever made good things. He makes what he is told to make, and beauty in his hands can be a trap as easily as a wonder. Hold on to that, because it comes back. So now, the revenge. Because this is where you see most clearly of all exactly what kind of god he is, and it is not the kind you were told. Remember, his mother threw him off the mountain. He does not forget that, but he cannot fight Hera. He is lame, and she is the queen of heaven, and force was never his weapon, so he does what he does best. He makes something. He forges a throne, a chair of gold so beautiful, so perfectly and lovingly made, that when it arrives on Olympus, a gift with no name on it, Hera cannot resist it. She sits down in the most gorgeous thing she has ever seen. And the moment she does, hidden mechanisms he built into it come alive, invisible bonds snap shut around her, and she is trapped, held fast in a golden chair by a craft so fine no one can even see how it works. And here is the part that tells you everything. No god can free her. Not one. The gods pull and strain and try every power they have, and the most beautiful, most powerful beings in the cosmos cannot undo the work of the one they laugh at. There is only one being in all creation who can unlock that throne, and it is the lame smith they threw away, and he will not come. So Olympus has to beg. The gods who threw him off the mountain have to send messengers down to his forge and plead with him to come back up and free the queen. They have to offer him honor. They have to bring him home with dignity and a place at the table, and in the tellings, the hand of Aphrodite herself. The god they discarded makes himself undiscardable with a single chair. He wins his way back onto the mountain not by force, not by fighting his way up, but by making one thing so perfect that the whole of heaven has to come to him on its knees. That is the mind of Hephaestus. And he does it again later when he has been wronged a second time, and this time the story is told as a comedy, but look at the shape of it. He is married to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and she is unfaithful to him with Ares, the god of war. The handsome war god and the beautiful love goddess, the two glamorous ones, laughing behind the back of the sooty smith. And Hephaestus finds out. Now a different god would have gone at Ares with a weapon. War is Ares' whole domain. In a fair fight the smith loses. So again he does not fight. He makes. He forges a net of chains so fine they are invisible, so cunningly worked that they are thinner than a spider's thread and stronger than anything, and no god can see them or break them. And he hangs this invisible net over his own bed, and he pretends to leave. And when the two lovers meet, the net drops and it snares them, caught fast, unable to move, held exactly where they are by the smith's invisible craft. And then, and this is the whole point, he calls in the other gods. He invites all of Olympus to come and look. And they come and they see the war god and the love goddess caught in a trap none of them could have made and none of them can undo, and the gods laugh. But look at who they are laughing at now. Not the lame smith. The two beautiful ones caught in his net. He has turned the laughter around. The one they mocked has made the mockers into the joke, and he has done it the only way he ever wins, by making something none of them could make. The net is the throne again, craft, not force, a mind, not a fist. So let me hold the two of them up beside each other now, the way this channel always does, because the gap between them is the entire point. The Hephaestus we inherited is a joke. He is the ugly one, the limping blacksmith, the odd god out, the sooty misfit married to beauty as a punchline, the cuckold the handsome gods laugh at. He is easy. You look at the limp and the soot and the mismatch and you know at once what the lesson is, and it is a comfortable, cruel little lesson. The ugly one is for laughing at, the maker is beneath the beautiful, the one who limps is the one who loses. It never once asks you to notice that every beautiful thing in the story came out of his hands. The real one is not a joke. He is the maker of the whole shining world, the one god the other gods cannot do without, the smith of every throne and the aegis and the sun's chariot and the greatest shield in myth. He is thrown off the mountain and builds it anyway. He is laughed at and forges beauty none of them could forge. And when he is wronged, he does not rage and he does not lose. He makes a golden throne and a silver net, and he wins, and he makes the mountain come to him. The screen made him the ugly punchline among the beautiful gods. The oldest layer of the story made him the one who built everything the beautiful gods own. Those are not the same god. They are not even close. And here I owe you the honesty this whole channel runs on, because I can feel this tipping toward turning him into a flawless hero, the pure good underdog, and the sources will not let me pretend. The first honest thing, his making is not always clean. Those same hands shaped Pandora on Zeus's order, a beautiful thing built to be a punishment, a curse for all mankind dressed as a gift. And the golden throne and the net are traps, however clever. His craft catches and binds and holds people against their will, his own mother among them. He is not a gentle god. He is a god whose beauty can be a cage, and I am not going to sand that off to make him easier to love. The second honest thing, and this one I want to be careful about. The sources genuinely diverge, and not just on the fall. Whether it was Hera or Zeus who threw him, why, at his birth or in a quarrel, whether the sea goddesses raised him 9 years or some other span, the details shift from teller to teller. And I have given you the shapes the oldest sources hold, Homer and Hesiod, and flagged where they split. Where I read him as the wronged maker rather than the ridiculous misfit, understand that I am reading the oldest layer closely, but it is a reading. It is my best guess at the shape under the soot, and you deserve to know it is a reading and not a fact carved in bronze. Because that is the question this myth will not stop asking if you let it. Why is Hephaestus remembered as the joke and not as the maker? Look at the raw facts of it, stripped of everything we were trained to feel about a limping, ugly god beside beautiful ones. On that mountain was one figure who could make. Just one. Every throne, every weapon, every wonder, every beautiful thing the beautiful gods wear came from his forge and no other. And that one maker was the one they threw off the mountain, married off as a punchline and laughed at the feast. The beautiful gods who could make nothing were the ones doing the laughing, and the god who made all of it was the joke. That is not an accident. Somebody, across a long line of tellers, decided which Hephaestus to keep, and over they kept the limp instead of the shield. And when you ask what that choice has in common with 100 other choices, the answer is a pattern old as the hills. We file the maker beneath the beautiful thing he makes. We laugh at the body that limps and forget the hands that build. We remember the god who is easy to look at and forget the god who made him look that way. The beautiful gods get the songs. The one who forged their beauty gets the punchline. Call him the ugly smith, and you never have to reckon with him as the maker of your whole world. And that, in the end, is the thing I want you to carry back out with you. We are very quick, all of us, to laugh at the one who limps, to look at the misfit at the back of the hall and the beautiful ones at the front and know at once which one matters. It is a comfortable instinct. It saves us from the harder thing underneath. But the oldest version of Hephaestus keeps asking it anyway. How often is the one you were taught to laugh at simply the one who made everything the people you admire are standing on? How often does the maker get filed beneath his own making, the one who built the shining thing dismissed as lesser than the shining thing itself? We remember the limp. We remember the soot and the ugly god married to beauty and the gods laughing at the feast. And we forget almost entirely that the halls they laughed in, the thrones they laughed from, the beauty they laughed with, all of it came off his anvil. The joke at the back of the hall built the hall. It is right there in the oldest telling, in plain sight under the soot. Look at what the ugly god actually made. Then ask yourself why we only ever remember the limp. So here is what I honestly want to know, down in the comments, and I will be reading them. First, the simple one. Before today, had you ever thought of Hephaestus as the most important craftsman on the whole mountain, the one who forged every throne and the shield and the sun's own chariot? Or was he always just the ugly one who limps, the blacksmith they married off as a joke to you? Be honest, because most of us were only ever taught the limp. And then the harder one, the one I keep turning over in my own head, how do you read him now? A ridiculous misfit the beautiful gods laughed at, or the wronged maker who built their entire world and outthought every one of them? Or, most unsettling of all, are both of those true at exactly the same time? Tell me down below. And tell me which mask you would like me to pull off next. I'm the Myth Keeper. This whole channel is about the gods and the monsters you think you know, and the far older, far more complicated ones the real stories actually wrote down, waiting underneath the costumes that later tellers draped over them. So come back up to Olympus and down into the forge beneath it with me again soon. There are a great many names up here that the world quietly traded for a single, easy word. And not one of them is ever quite the joke you were told.